Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's Seko Varner. It's Jose Cruz. It's brother our Conrad. It's the Beach Brothers show, and we're back. And we're back. And the Beach Brothers are a group of gentlemen who live in Virginia, who love the state of Virginia, and we're also all interested in Virginia business and politics. So I'm Seko Varner. I'm your local serial entrepreneur, your educator, your entertainer. If you need credit repair, I'm the contact. But if you need to get your financial game straight after your credit repair, this is the guy you talk to, Mr. Jose Cruz. What's up, brother?
Thank you,
All
brother.
right.
Thank you.
And then on the end, go ahead. It's a brother who loves Virginia Beach so much. He's running for city council. And that friend Conrad. How are you doing, Conrad?
I'm doing great. I hope you guys are doing good too.
I am. It's been a challenging few days. I have to say I've had a difficult time today. Very difficult time today. We'll chat about that at a later time. But I have to say I'm feeling okay now. I have on my Tally and Twine watch. Thank you, good brother. Man, I love this one. Yeah, I love it. So I'm feeling great. Now, Conrad, who do we have joining us today? Or actually, no, before we do that, Jose, who's our sponsor for today?
Well, our sponsor for today is Rincon Tropical. It's Spanish, Puerto Rican Latin cuisine restaurant. It's located on South Plaza Trail and Holland Road. Great home cooked food. Stop in, see Bambi and Jose, and tell them that Jose and the Beach Brothers sent you.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yo, as I said before, I've had their food before, and I love what they bring to the table, man. Literally,
It's amazing.
I love what they bring to the table. So, Conrad,
Sir.
who do we have joining us tonight?
Well, the Beach Brothers welcome all candidates and all business types on to talk about the happenings of Virginia. Tonight, we have on a candidate for United States Congress, specifically a candidate for Virginia's 4th Congressional District, which is right up to the border of Virginia Beach in Chesapeake, over to Emporia, and then right up through Petersburg and into Richmond. That is currently served by incumbent Democrat Donald McEachin. Cazel Levine is the Democratic primary opponent. She's Christian, a mom, a lifetime Girl Scout, a former federal executive with 3 decades of government experience. She has spent her career proudly creating jobs, fighting for workers' rights, equality for women, and making government efficient. She's a graduate from Virginia State University in Petersburg. And we at the Beach Brothers would like to start off by thanking you for coming on. We would like to know about your thoughts on the goings-on in May of 2020.
Thank you, Conrad, and thank all of you for having me today. I'm so excited to join you and be a part of your great show, the service that you're providing. What's going on in May? Well, we're still on the stay-at-home order. And so I think I'll be remiss if I didn't at least address the COVID-19 issue. We have, about 40,000 cases here in Virginia, and we lost about a little over 1,200, I believe. And so, and over 100,000 across the country. And so it's an unprecedented time that we're going through. And I really wanted to take a moment just to acknowledge the hardship that some families are feeling from the loss, and express my condolences, and just encourage everyone to be safe. So for me, that's pretty much what's going on in May, other than, unplanned homeschooling. So.
All right. That's good. That's good. That's good. So I have the next question. And candidates for public office typically build their campaigns around something.
So if you guys are talking to me, I cannot hear a single thing you're saying.
You can't hear me? Okay. What about you, Conrad? Are you able to hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear Cazel.
I can hear Conrad.
Okay, okay. This happens sometime on this platform. So I tell you what, Conrad, if you can read the question, I'll see what I can do to fix the problem.
All right. Well, the next question up is candidates for public office typically build their campaigns around something that is going wrong and something that they need to fix. But I'm curious here at the Beach Brothers, what is going right? What is something you're proud to represent in the United States Congress regarding the people of Virginia?
First of all, the people. I think we have some people here in Virginia that I'm proud to call neighbors, family, friends. So I think the people, first of all, are our crowning jewel. The second is I'm real proud of some of the legislations that has been passed, and I think Virginia is leading the way, particularly the Virginia Clean Economy Act. I think that's phenomenal. I think you mentioned my background a little bit was with the Department of Interior, where I learned the importance of restoration and preservation of our natural resources. And being in a position, Virginia being in a position to lead the way for the country gives us a great opportunity to lead by example. One, by being creative with the technology, using it, but more importantly, job creation. So I'm excited and thrilled about the potential that's going to come from that act. The second one is the recently passed expansion of the gun control. I know there are people on both sides of it, but I'm particularly excited that Virginia once again is leading common sense laws around gun control. Too many of our children, too many of our family members are being lost as a result of, easy access to guns. And so seeing some of the enhancements in the legislation that was recently passed is something that I'm particularly proud of.
All right, Mr. Jose, let's test your audio, see if we can hear you.
Thank you, Conrad. Thank you. All right. Senior care is a noted passion of yours. We're intrigued by the suggestion of improved efficiency on senior services and better provision of care. On healthcare, do you believe those goals are also worthy for improvements on Virginia's young and middle-aged citizens, at least in regards to where the ACA, Medicare, and Medicaid all meet?
So I am particularly sensitive to the plight of our senior citizens. You're right. I feel that too often people have worked their whole life to make this country great. And when they get to a certain age, they seem sometimes to be forgotten. And I want to make sure that we don't do that. And one of the things I feel that we can do is make sure that the medical services that they get doesn't take away from the limited or fixed income that they have. It's difficult, particularly if you were on the lower end of the wage. You may not even have a pension or retirement. You just totally using your Social Security, which often isn't quite enough to meet all of your needs. And so one, I want to make sure that every senior citizen have access to free healthcare. The Medicare system does that to a certain degree, but some still pay co-payments. Some still have to pay for prescription drugs, and it doesn't cover enough for dental and hearing aids and glasses. And so I want to expand that coverage for the seniors. And more importantly, I want to make sure that the process, I told you, I spent you said it nicely, 3 decades, but I spent quite a bit of time in the federal government. And the way we write our policies and procedures or the way you have to request for service, it can be complicated. And when you're an older person, you're going to need someone often to help you wade through all of that. And so I want to also simplify how do you get access. But yes, I am an advocate, a strong advocate for Medicaid for all. All other major countries have something similar along these lines. But when you mention it here, particularly Bernie Sanders and others, when they mention it here, it seems like a foreign idea. And it's not. It really isn't. Pharmaceutical and insurance industry would like for you to believe that you lose your ability to have a choice. And they spend a lot of money. They both spend a lot of money on advertisement. They spend a lot of money on lobbying and misinformation. And so I hope that we can move forward with universal or Medicaid for all and dispose this misnomer. We actually spend twice as much on healthcare right now per capita than other countries. And so it would actually wind up being cheaper for us to actually implement it. The misinformation is it's going to cost a fortune. We're already spending a fortune and we have substandard solutions. And so we really need to move forward, especially if we're going to, our country has to continue to lead the way. Our country still has to be the most innovative country. And in order for us to do that, we first must take care of our basic needs. And healthcare is one of the most basic things I believe everyone should have, whether you're a child or a senior citizen.
Good. Well, Jose went last, and not sure if Seko's ready to go yet, so I'll jump in here with my next question.
Conrad, I don't know if it's my phone or if it's you guys, but I can't hear it. I can't even hear you now.
Hear me? Now I'm unmuting. It's better now.
Yeah, I think we're just having a challenge. Just one of those times, the internet is not always our friend. So, Cazel, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. So apparently I can only hear one of you at a time. So it goes back and forth.
Okay. Seko, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, sir. So I'll tell you what, let me jump into the question about workers' rights.
Yep, that's
all
next.
Right. All right, good. So there are viewers of the Beach Brothers quite interested in workers' rights, Cazel. So for instance, a friend of Conrad's, Robert, is all ready to support Delegate Jennifer Carroll Foy for governor as she's good for workers. Elizabeth out of Richmond is interested in workers' rights as well. And we all know you're caring for it. So, Conrad likes your $500 monthly basic income suggestion as an example. And he'd like to take on workers' rights and tell us what you want to protect and serve. That's an interesting question. I'd like you to take on workers' rights and tell us what you'd like to protect and serve.
Okay. Yeah, that is a great question. There was a study done, I think in 2018. So I don't know where we are now, but Virginia was identified as the worst state in America for workers. And that's a shame. We're at will state, and workers really don't have that much of rights. And so the first thing I would want to do is make sure that every worker has a voice and an ability to unionize if they so choose to, because I think it's quite important for us to be able to not only have a job, but go to a job where you feel that you're secure and that you're not let go at will for no reason other than something that someone came up with. And so that, for me, having people feel like they can go to work and give a harsh day work and make sure that they have a job when they come back the next day is important to me. Not only that, I think it's quite important that people get paid for what they deserve. I mean, you talk about essential workers during this pandemic. These are the people who are just barely scraping by. They're not even making a living wage. So first and foremost, I will advocate strongly for a living wage. I think people need to be able, if they're working 40 hours a week, guess what? That should take care of a family. It should take care of more than just a basic needs of a family. And I think a living wage. The second thing is, I think that as a state, when we recruit business, it's ironic. We are the worst when it comes to workers, but I believe we're around the first when it comes to business friendly. We need to make sure that when companies are coming into our state, that we are advocating for our workers. Unfortunately, the Amazon situation, where many of our hardworking citizens are only part time and they keep being recycled every 90 days, because after 90 days you can get benefits and health benefits and all of the bennies that come with full-time employment, but they're let go before that 90-day happen. And I think that is something that this government really should be fighting for. When a company is negotiating at the table, the first thing we need to be saying is, how are we going to protect our workers? How are the rest of us not supplementing Amazon? Because that's what we do. We're supplementing them and Walmart and a whole host of other companies that come in here and don't offer full-time jobs with benefits for our employees. So one, I think we need to make sure that we negotiated better situations for our workers here. The other thing that you mentioned was the universal basic income, and I said $500. You heard Yang talk about $1,200. You hear, and when he said it, it was such a radical idea. Like what?
Mhm.
But it actually happens in part. You know, Alaska, they do that. They all of their citizens get a stipend or whatever they call it from their government. So it's not that radical, but in our Congress and men are talking about it now, like, was $1,200 really even enough? Should we move it on? Should we spread it out for till next year? So the notion of this is starting to get some traction. I said $500 because I think it was palatable, but I'm an advocate for the $1,200. Yeah,
Interesting.
I think the government spends, and I'll wrap this up, the government spends quite a bit on social services, quite a bit on subsidies for corporate America, that those monies could be reappropriated and spread out and given directly to the citizen. Why do we always need a middleman? So those are some of the things I believe.
You know, it's interesting. I think the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King even talked about this very same topic. So yeah, it's been on for a while. But $500, you said it was a very palatable number. Is it a very is it a number? Is it a point that's actually going to change lives?
So first, this is a very divisive political era that we're living through, right?
True.
So divisive. And so I think one of the things that I want to bring to the table that's not at the table is, let's have a strategy. Let's have a vision. My strategy is, let's get money to people who need it. Let's get money in their hands. Like I said, why deal with the middleman? Right now, the $1,200 on the table is fighting points. And so maybe if we could start as a pilot, the $500, we can kind of come to some common ground as legislators. And so that's why I said, why don't we just, the other thing is not even the money. The government has a propensity to roll out these big programs and don't have the infrastructure to do it. So one, we need to give the government a chance to get their act together so that they can monitor and distribute this money in a way that isn't wasteful.
Ooh, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's kind of Tea Party-ish. Okay. Yeah, I would agree. Continue. I just found that intriguing. So our government wastes money.
Well, I wouldn't say there's a real opportunity to be efficient. Quite often, we, just like just like you and me, we have to balance our
Right.
budget. Every so often, I realize I spend more money on discretionary items than I mean to, and so every now and then I have to tweak my budget, and that's the same thing for the federal government. You need to kind of go back and tweak and say, "Oh, you're spending a little bit too much on Starbucks." Let's get back to some meat and potatoes.
Interesting. Interesting. How do your fellow party members take in your ideas that we need to better manage and be better stewards of our government resources?
I don't think anyone, whether they're in my party or the other party, would disagree that we need to always be efficient and always look at ourselves to make improvements. I don't think anyone willfully wants to be wasteful.
Mhm.
And wasteful is not the right term, or they may use some other terminology. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's a party issue. I think everyone expects the government to be efficient, and the government themselves should hold themselves accountable to be efficient, regardless of the party. So I don't think I'm going to get much pushback on being on that notion. How we be efficient, that's a whole different story.
Okay. Okay. It's obvious you spent your time. You have the background. That's becoming more and more obvious to me. Okay, good, good, good. I said at the beginning of the show that today and the last 2 days have been pretty challenging personally. Pretty challenging personally. From time to time, things happen in our great country that would benefit from somebody speaking to it. So, whatever the issue is, if something arises, how would you like to lead your voice regarding the tough times that many of us face? How would you use your voice to help make that change?
I'm not sure. You said the last couple of days. So in the last couple of days, we've had some unfortunate things that happen um, in other states that it's just heartening. Not just as an African American, I think we all feel it, not just for that family, but as a minority community. I think we feel it as parents. I think we feel it as brothers and sisters. I think we just feel it across the nation. So when things are happening to the least of us, to the most innocent, to um, unjustly, it's not deserved. I think it impacts us all, right? In a way that it requires us to reflect internally, you know. And so, how would I lend my voice um, for those who have no voice? For those who are disenfranchised, for those who are over policed, for example, is forthright. And what I mean by forthright is we need to call what it is what it is. We can't hide behind a badge because there are great people who are in law enforcement who are tainted by activities by a few. I have law enforcement in my family, so I understand the challenges. I understand the threat, but at the same time, some use that badge as a shield to hide behind some unscrupulous things that they've already had in them. And so any occupation would have that, but it's particularly unnerving when someone of authority have it. And so we need to call it out. We need to be vocal about it. And we need to talk. It's not an attack on any profession. It's an attack on a person who has low integrity or no integrity. And so let's not mistake. But we shouldn't hold someone's poor performance as a representation of everyone. And sometimes people they get us arguing or disagreeing on the wrong thing. The wrong thing is this person was wrong. This person had intent that was not good. And for me, I'm standing on um, the shoulders of a lot of people who went through a lot of things that it's time for us to think about uniting as a country around something positive, making America a place where everyone is safe and everyone is treated respectfully. I, I assume that that's where you were going. I'm not sure if that's where you're going, but that's where my heart is. My heart aches. I'm raising a young boy who's going to grow up to be a Black man, and he says things like, "Can you turn the channel?" Every time I walk, there's not, why the news never say anything nice? So you're creating a generation of people once again asking questions that I thought and many of us thought were answered long ago. And this has we just need to grow beyond it. I mean, I just summed it up briefly, but I just don't want to start crying on your show, but it's just a very delicate issue.
It is. Yeah, I don't want to dwell on that topic either. I just know when someone takes custody, when you take custody of something, you're supposed to care for. Yeah. Conrad, I'm off. Next.
Important topics. I would like, I think Mr. Jose has a question to follow up regarding education.
Get it back up in here. Now, Cazel, we're examples of Virginia's secondary education. As I've learned at ECPI, Conrad has learned at ODU, Seko at Hampton, ODU, and Regent. You, of course, have studied at Virginia State. As a federal representative, as someone who will have a vote over a tremendous pot of funds Congress can allocate, what would you like to advocate for regarding education and funding?
Well, first of all, let me say, go Trojan, go State. I'm an alumni of Virginia State, proud alumni. I alluded to this before. America really needs to take our position back as a world leader. And in order for us to do that, we need to be able to lead the future. And every child needs a chance. And the only way our future is secure is if every child has a chance to demonstrate their creativity. So there are a couple of things in the educational space that I'm particularly sensitive to. One is we talk about rebuilding our infrastructure. We really need to rebuild our infrastructure for schools. Our schools have, in 100 years, the desk, you're still sitting at a desk, you're still sitting in front of a teacher's still in the front and she's still writing on the board. Really, we need to change the infrastructure of schools to be more contemporary, to match what the workforce is looking like. And what I mean by that is collaborative, teaming, technology. All of that needs to be put into our school systems. And so when we talk about improving our infrastructure, for me, it won't be just bridges and roads. It'll also be the infrastructure of our schools, our physical schools. The second thing is we need to close the gap between the haves and the have-nots. I'm not saying anything that isn't new, but your education should not be driven by your zip code, right? And so, but we can't, there's only so much money. So you can't just keep pumping money in, right? Because money is not always the solution. I believe reward and replicate. And what I mean by that, there are great ideas across the 4th District. There are great ideas across Virginia. There are great ideas across this country on successes that people are using to move our students forward. And so let's identify those at a federal level. Let's identify those, reward those who have done great, and replicate it across the country. Why does the federal government feel like they have to have the answers for everything? Guess what? You're not a school teacher. You may not have the answer. Why don't we go to those places where they're doing well and advocate on their behalf to move it across the country? And so that's one thing, reward and replicate. College-bound students. I am an advocate for tuition free for 2 years. I don't know if my hand's showing, but for 2 years. And whether you go to college or whether you go to a vocational school, I think you guys mentioned that, or some post education, it should be funded by the government, because in order for us to lead and for order for us to be the best, we have to have educated folks, and regardless of the field, we need to have. And so high school is no longer enough. You need some type of post education, and I feel that the federal government can fund it for 2 years. However, if you're in a 4-year college, I believe the government could potentially supplement you additional 2 years, but in return, you will provide like services. That means you will work for the government for 2 years, or I believe another option would be you would work for a nonprofit in your field for 2 years. So for example, if you're an IT person and you want to work for a nonprofit that's teaching children technology, I think that should be an acceptable equivalent of service. So 2 years for the government, 2 years earned of free education.
Interesting.
So
Interesting. My children, my son's a rising junior at NSU, and my daughter is graduating senior from high school. We're both kind of on that Bernie train because he talked about free education. That seemed really attractive to them because they've seen us pay off our student loans, but it also meant that there were some things they had to do without. And that's interesting to me. I worked in college access for a while, for about 5 years. And, I had a student who just graduated from ODU, salute the Monarchs. Yes, salute the Monarchs. And she just graduated from ODU. And she was saying how much it meant to her that in high school, there was someone that helped her get a college scholarship. And that was some of the work that our firm, the Access College Foundation, did. And still does. They still do. So it's interesting that you would say that. I like the idea of just 2 years. And I also like the idea, because I also worked in workforce development for Tidewater Community College, how important it is that people walk away with skills as well. And there's a big need for skilled labor, particularly in Virginia. One of the things that I found disturbing is, we had a recent entree into Virginia where they're putting up these, I'm going to use the term windmill, but they're not really called windmills. I can't think of what they're really called. And they're on the coast of Virginia Beach. But we have to import people to work on those windmills because we don't have the in-house training, And so if we were able to skill, if, each one of our students walked off of that, I'm going on my soapbox. So I'm just really happy. I'm going to step off my soapbox. I'm really happy to hear your piece. Go ahead.
Yeah. I started. You asked, what was great about Virginia, and I talked about the renewable energy.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Virginia has a real opportunity to lead for the country, but we have to develop our skills. We're so focused on getting the business, but we need to grow. Go to Hopewell. I told you I have Hopewell roots. Go to Hopewell. There are people who want to work, right? They just, they don't know about, they may not know about it. It's not introduced in the schools, right? So
not as well as it could be.
That's right. And so we just need to come up with a strategy for how do we because I'm concerned about bringing other people in, right? So you bring people in, guess what's going to happen? You're pushing those who are behind further behind. So this is a real opportunity here to educate, educate our citizens who want to work, because there's very few people who say they don't want to work. They really do want to work. The opportunity are there. And it doesn't just help Virginia, it helps America, because we really need to kind of get off fossil fuel.
All right. I'm going to jump off script. I'm probably going to get hated on for this. You said that because we're bringing other people in, those who are already behind get further left behind.
Yeah.
So that kind of begs the question about immigration.
Okay. What's the question?
All right. So is that a similar impact of immigration? And I would say yes, but that's me.
Not everybody immigrating to America is immigrating for jobs. That's a misnomer, But let's just talk about those who are coming for work. And I believe in work permits. So if you want to come and then go back to your country, but a lot of those jobs that immigrants, unfortunately, the group the body of people that I'm talking about, they're seasonal work, right? Mm-hmm. So seasonal work, they could do the work, they can earn money for their family and go back to their country. That's not what I'm talking about necessarily pushing us back. The people that are already behind being pushed, that's not what I'm talking about, because they're doing that work too. And that's my point. It's seasonal work. They aren't full-time. They aren't getting benefits, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not a transferable skill. It's labor, right? I'm saying we need to create jobs that are full-time with benefits, that's transferable, that they could feel as if, and they're contributing to the new America, the new economy of America. So I don't think it's them against us. I don't think it's either or.
Okay.
Two different.
All right. Okay. I'll take that. Speaking of money, running a campaign costs some money. Mm-hmm. My good brother Conrad, our comrade Conrad, is feverishly raising funds. Mm-hmm. Most of the other candidates we've spoken to had to raise funds. When I ran for the school board in 2018, I had to raise funds. I know how important that resource is to a viable campaign. How's your campaign doing? So you ready to rock and roll? You ready to win this?
So let me explain something to you. So when I grew up, long story, but my mom winds up moving to New York in an apartment building that was in my grandmother's. My grandmother lived in an apartment building in New York, and my mom moved from California there with 4 kids.
Can I get you to hold for just a second?
Sure.
I hear a little Brooklyn in your voice. I kept wondering, is that the part of New York?
Brooklyn projects that I lived in. So in Brooklyn.
Yeah, yes. All day. Salute BK. I'm totally 2 up, 2 down for Virginia, but I was born in Brooklyn. I love NYC, BK all day. I may have to give you. Okay, that's what's up. Continue.
But the long story short was that it was a 3-bedroom apartment, and there were 11 little Levines in that apartment. I think it was 6 girls and 5 boys, right? So we had the girls' room and the boys' room. I lacked for nothing. Let me repeat that. I grew up in the projects. There were 11 kids in a 3-bedroom apartment, and I lacked for nothing. Because every day, women, single parents, women, families with little get by and make it happen. That's the story. That's America. That's happening every day. And so when people say, I'm going to run for office and I need all of this money, I'm sure you do. But guess what? You need to make it happen just like everybody else does. And that's my story of my life. And that's how I'm running my campaign. Every dollar I get, I stretch it and I make it happen.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. 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 All right. Jose, speaking of stretching them dollars, where can we spend some of these dollars, man? Virginia's opening up a little more. We'll have to ask about that as well. But Jose, where's a good place we can spend some of these dollars, man?
Well, my brother, another good spot that we can go to spend some of our hard-earned dollars that has excellent Puerto Rican Latin cuisine, authentic food from home is the Rican Chef. It's located at 3208 Holland Road. It's right over there in the Food Line Shopping Center, right at Holland Road and Ship's Corner, Suite 105. Like I said, amazing food, authentic food, excellent customer service, wonderful family-like atmosphere. It's a wonderful place to take the family out for a nice dinner. So go ahead and check it out. Stop in and see Christian, Luigi, Jose, or Raquel, and tell them Jose and the Beach Brothers sent you.
All right. So, what's your favorite dish from the Rican Chef? I can tell you what mine is because I've been there twice. Yeah. I love. You know what? What's your favorite? What's your favorite? We'll go from there.
Well, I mean, one of my favorites, because their pork chops are just they're just amazing. But one of my favorites is their arroz con gandules and their pernil with some of their pasteles. Nice malta. Call it a day. That's what it is.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Cazel, do you like Latin food?
I like food.
The food there is amazing. Like I said, stop in and see Jose or Raquel, Christian. Tell them Jose and the Beach Brothers sent you. They will take great care of you. You'll love it.
Awesome.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I think when I was there, they had something with plantains, and they had the amarillos, the sweet, soft ones, and I was hooked. I was hooked.
Man.
Yeah, the stuff was banging. Okay, hey, that was a nice little thing to talk about. Good food. But let's talk about some other great things as we wrap things up. Conrad, you have any last questions you'd like to ask?
Indeed. Ms. Levine, I'm running for Virginia Beach City Council, and my foremost concern is flooding mitigation in the city of Virginia Beach and improving public transit for Hampton Roads via rapid bus transit. I want to use my voice to rally support for state of Virginia funds and United States government funds for such enterprises. Would you like to explore the use of federal supplement funding in the state of Virginia for such uses?
So congratulations on your council. I hope you find success. I really do. Let me just talk about the beach for a second. So I absolutely love the beach. And I particularly love the beach in the wintertime. I know it's just the most relaxing thing. So while Virginia Beach and local politics in the state of Virginia fund are largely responsible for Virginia Beach, and you guys are wrestling with how to handle the ramification that comes along with the flooding. I look at the beach and coastal areas as a natural resource. Just like if I didn't mention it, I did spend 10 years, I think I did, with the Department of Interior. And I worked with public lands, and my sister agency was the National Park Services. And so I see those coastal areas just as important as those other areas that we preserve and protect and restore. And so from that standpoint, I think the federal government need to look at those areas as a natural resource and not just leave it for the localities to fund and to fix and to wrestle with. So right now, you either have to get a grant, you have to partner with someone, you have to use local taxes to resolve this issue. And so, yes, I do feel that the federal government does have a role, particularly as it relates to the funding. To the flooding. For the transit, I would have to explore that a little more before I can give you a more comprehensive response. But I feel like the coast is a natural resource and should be protected in part with the federal government support.
Sounds good.
Intriguing. How you like them apples, Conrad?
Very good apples.
Salute that. Salute that. All right. Hey, Sister Levine, well, it's actually Cazel for Congress is what the website is, right?
Yes. Is that for
Okay.
Nice ring to it. Nice ring.
Cazel for Congress.
Congress?
That's what's up. You know, I'm going to show it one last time. So if anybody wants to take a look at what she has going on with her campaign, you know exactly where to go. Press so far. We're going to take a deeper look. We're definitely going to take a deeper look. And I think what we've heard today warrants a deeper look. Great thing is that I heard that she can take a little and make a lot happen with it.
Mhm.
And she comes from a background of taking a little and making a lot happen with it. And I think our government could benefit from taking a little and making a lot happen from that. So salute to you.
Indeed.
And how did she put it for Conrad? Oh, yes. We hope you find success.
Much the same for you.
All right, good. Well, you're checking out the Beach Brothers Show. I'm Seko Varner, your serial entrepreneur, your entertainer, your educator. If you need to get your credit fixed, give the brother a call. We were hanging out with a good friend, Mr. Cruz, and it's obvious you've been spending a lot of time in the Latin restaurants recently, brother. Okay.
Hey, I gotta
Yeah,
eat.
Virginia opens up. Virginia's opening up, and you just go local, right?
Hey, you gotta go where the food is at. And the food is great. You got my attention.
Que bueno. Okay. And Conrad, man, as she said, we hope you find success. So if you like to be assessed and you like to get on a Beach Brothers show, if you're interested in being a candidate or a seated politician, talk to Conrad. He's the person that gets our seated politicians and our candidates on the show, right? Right. If you're a business and you want to get highlighted like Dorican Chef, or you want to get highlighted like Tally and Twine did last week, or if you want to get highlighted by like El Rincon Tropical, I think we hit 2 restaurants today, didn't we? Okay.
Yes, sir. We
Then
did.
talk to Jose, the guy at the very end. Talk to the skinny guy at the very end, 757 Insurance Man. He'll also get your money straight. So you're watching the Beach Brothers. We love Virginia. We love business. We love politics. And we love you. So stay beachy. Take care.